Hi, this is Joe again. Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this video, we'll be discussing the 1945 horror movie, The Body Snatcher, starring Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff, two horror movie icons. And you expect that having these two horror movie icons in the same movie, the film will be good. Wrong. This movie totally sucks, and I can't believe I actually watched this movie. I mean, it's that bad. I was already interested in it because it had Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi in it, and the movie wasn't like. And Bela Lugosi didn't even have a big part in this film. He had like a small part in this. But this movie is about this particular doctor, and it's probably in 1841 England. And the guy, this particular doctor, all he does, or mostly he doesn't even treat patients, because there's one subplot about this little girl who was paralyzed, because she was paralyzed in an accident, and the mother keeps thinking this doctor, because he's supposed to be the best doctor on the planet, said, "Oh, can you help my daughter out? Can you help my daughter out? Can you perform surgery on her?" And he says, "No, sorry, I can't do it." And so I'm only an academic now, so I don't do perform surgeries anymore, and all that stuff. I just run experiments, not surgeries. And all that's going on. And the doctor has a subplot where he deals with this cab driver played by Boris Karloff, who digs up bodies in the graves. It's kind of ironic because he played Frankenstein's monster. And Dr. Frankenstein dug them up or stitched them together from dead bodies they picked from graves. So it's kind of ironic. He's playing that Boris Karloff is playing a grave robber in this film. Anyway, he digs up graves, and not only digs up graves for this doctor, but he also goes around killing people as well to provide fresher bodies for this doctor, and the doctor knows about it. And so he keeps his mouth shut because he wants to keep up his experiments going. And if he says anything, he'll be accused of participating in murders and grave robbing, which of course is illegal. So he keeps his mouth shut. He keeps his little loosey-goosey pact with Boris Karloff's character. His name is Ray. And while all this stuff is going on, he has like an assistant who eventually finds out what's going on between Boris Karloff's character and the doctor. And then eventually, the assistant was eventually convinced the doctor to perform surgery on this little girl. And to me, there's like one too many subplots in this film. And let's get to one subplot with Boris Karloff providing dead bodies for the doctor. I guess it's not interesting enough, so they had to create a subplot with this little paralyzed girl, and occasionally they kept going back every 20 minutes or so. They kept going back to the storyline with this little kid, and eventually the doctor did perform the surgery, and the doctor said it was successful. But the problem was the kid wouldn't stand. Because she was paralyzed for so long, her muscles were weak. I guess it eventually took time for her muscles to build back up the strength to get the blood flow going into those damaged areas. And make a long story short, she eventually did stand up and was able to walk. So the surgery was successful, despite the fact that he was getting all these dead bodies illegally from Boris Karloff's character. Now, true, there are people who donate the bodies to science, but that's not what that's not what the doctor wants for some reason. Because there are not enough people donating the bodies to science. So, all this crazy stuff going on, and eventually, Bela Lugosi's character, who plays the house servant or the butler to the doctor, he figures out what Boris Karloff is doing and blackmails him. And Boris Karloff does kill. Major spoiler: Boris Karloff kills Bela Lugosi in this film. So like, wow, they had a fight. Dracula and the Frankenstein monster. Having this fight, and Bela Lugosi gets killed, and of course they found, and then eventually the doctor does kill Boris Karloff's character eventually, and then eventually, the doctor feels so guilty, and he practically dies at the end of this film, and I thought this movie was such. I'm doing a very quick review on this recap of the movie, because I don't think this movie is that wasn't that great. To tell the truth, I thought it would be much cooler or much better, because two horror movies, they weren't even the main characters, at least Bela Lugosi wasn't. And that happened a lot, because there were a bunch of movies after the original horror movie cycle in the 30s, where Bela Lugosi did star with a bunch of movies with Boris Karloff, and a lot of times, Bela Lugosi was not the main character, or at least the main villain. Was usually either Karloff was usually the main villain. And there was one particular movie, I forgot what it was. Well, it actually was Boris Karloff was the hero and Bela Lugosi was the main villain. But I mean, other than that, anytime Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi were in the same movie, Bela Lugosi had such a tiny part. I mean, it wasn't. I don't think it was worth his time, but he just did it for a paycheck. And I think this movie was one of those cases, and I thought it should have been much better. And it's based on Henry Louis Stevenson's story. The guy who wrote Treasure Island wrote this movie, or wrote the original story that this movie is based on. And the movie was terrible. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, you could, like the late great Don Imus used to say, this movie cannot possibly suck enough, and that's how I felt about this movie. And it was terrible. It was so bad. It wasn't even funny how bad this movie was. So that's my review of the movie, The Body Snatcher. Please click on the video. Please rate it. Please subscribe to my channel. Please forward this video to your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews on my YouTube channel, RowdyC.com, that's all WDY, and then C.com, that's our homepage where I review Chris Lee Moore, and please check out all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.